Okay, so this is my end of day recap for Monday. Um, let's get into it. So my bias was bullish, right? Or yeah. Um, but even then, the bias was kind of unclear because I, last week reverse higher, right? Kind of held the S&P with a slow, just V-shaped higher, displaced higher. And then we left equal highs here on all assets. Let me look at one. Super clean. So ideally, right? C3, C4, looking for Monday C5 continuation, and that's not really ideal, but it really comes down to what intraday PA does, right? Um, does price respect EQ of pre-range, the refined key level, right? Or does it not, right? If it does, then obviously bullishness would is valid. But that's essentially what I want to see, right? If today respects EQ pre-range or the upper half pre-range, then and ideally opens lower, then I can anticipate bullishness for these highs. So yeah, let's go into time. Let me do this quick. So we gap higher. Kind of create this for our gap with the new week opening gap as a refined killable to form the low day off of. And we've seen 2 AM reaching to the gap, but it didn't reverse. So 6 AM probably is going to reverse off this low. It does, but it doesn't support the low expansion. And I was going to trade NQ, which we know that like all assets V-shaped higher here. And the leading assets, which would pretty much be YM and ES, right, took this high out here. Pretty much right here, whatever. But we know this is likely failure SMD because all assets at the reverse higher, V-shaped higher. So that typically means that all assets are going to reach the same target level and that this SMD is going to break. But then also mechanically defining that as failure SMD, whereas SMD being printed in OTE, right? We're just creating feather swings with the high. So that's definitely a lower probability bearish SMD. And then also the phase of price, obviously, going into today. So the lead nest also fell into liquid. So I was going to trade NQ as the lagging asset in continuation to break this SMD. But at the time, 6 AM doesn't support the low expansion. But I can mechanically fade this if it provides an entry within the lower half or around EQ, and then my stop loss is in the lower half. So I want to enter down here or around EQ, but I have my stop down here. But there was no strength switching, right? We at first NQ created SMT with the new week opening gap or current day low, whatever. Here, clearly there was no follow through, failed to manipulate it. So it's a failure SMT, and then ES broke the SMT going into the driver. Actually, we broke it, I think, prior to the driver. Actually, when the driver broke the SMT. And that's when all assets reversed higher. So the driver confirmed the bullish narrative. So I was like, okay, maybe I can trade 10 AM continuation. 10 AM is opening up with an line swing, but we know that technically, yeah, I forgot to mention that. The 9 AM 90 minute candle doesn't support the bull expansion, so I gotta wait for 10:30. Which no matter what, I gotta wait for 10:30 anyways because 10 AM is gonna create a future gap most likely, and it does. Then we see YM. The 30-minute we create this second stage PSP SMD fill, where there was no entry going into 10:30 away from that. That was clean. Even on the 3-minute, it's really ass. So not a valid trade. But technically that would be confirmation to the S-sync, to the universal sequence. And now there's really nothing we can do. I mean, NQ, took this high out, broke the SMT. Really nothing above it besides these highs, which we're probably not going to reach that. So there's really no reason for NQ to continue higher. YM as well. I mean, kind of have this high, but it's pretty far. And price is extremely bullish on the 4-hour and daily, I would say, or 6-hour. And also on the daily, right? Because of C5. So seeking continuation higher, I don't, it's really not that clean. Even on ES, right? There's nothing really about this, but go on to YM created SMT. Right, what did ES do? Price failed to manipulate this high. And then AMD bullishly, which means that we're probably going to continue to reach for this high, which is this high on YM. We created that SMT here. Right here. Right here. Clearly failure SMT because what it allowed us to do in reverse and higher was as we printed OT or premium. The phase of price as well confirms it as failure SMT. Alright, great. So now, and even the leading asset, YM is falling up at the highest. Now I want to see is switch strength to catch up from that sync. And we're seeing 11 a.m. close and create a gap on that really. And that third candle which created the gap is a PSP. And then we see 11 a.m. create that. We can already anticipate this forming right the second stage PSP SMB fill. And it's in the form of string switching to confirm mass sync to break this SMT here. And to yeah, but this SMT confirms the universal sequence as well. So I'm turning ES as the middle asset in continuation to break this SMT. So this is technically valid. I mean, we have the SMT to confirm mass sync, the universal sequence, right? As long as price away from this string switch V shapes higher cleanly, that would confirm the lowest 1 hour 30-minute candle. So the 1 hour 30-minute would be aligned. A 4 hour would be aligned during 10 a.m. Right, and the daily would be aligned via wick size, but the daily profile is not aligned. It does not support the bull expansion, so I can't take this because it's a delayed profile. We had open high, low high, or above the current day high, and we know that price creates a delayed profile like that: open low or open high, low high. Right, when the day should have opened lower, then higher, then higher. Should have been fluid, clean like that. We know that price is going to have a hard time expanding beyond the current high. And the fact that we're kind of like super high, way above it, kind of like, especially with the daily, like the daily's not clean, C5, all that on all assets. Yeah, we know that price is going to have a hard time expanding beyond the current high. And so it's like, this is invalidation because we're above the current high. Anyways, but yeah. So I didn't take this on my eval account. I did take it on my demo account though. Just to see what happens. Why not? But one thing I didn't like too is when we're creating this S&P fill right now, I don't like how YM has feather swings with this low. So when we V-shape away from that string switch second stage PSP S&P fill, YM leaves feather swings with this low. And now I know, YM has to head lower to take this low. It's likely going to, which is going to cause ES, or it's going to be, the markets are going to be out of sync, so it's going to be pretty high res. I mean, maybe ES doesn't take this low because it's switching strength to catch up to YM, right? But it's still unclaimed. So even if the daily profile did align, right? If it did, then I would have taken this. But even if it did align, seeing this on YM is really, really shitty, honestly. Because YM could head lower, which could cause ES and Q to head lower because, they're correlated. make the same highs and lows, although we know that ES is momentarily switching stronger, so it could create S&P this low, which we do. But NQ, literally routing it into my demo account off the CSD. Stop at EQ, it'll work right there. Price on NQ takes that low out. Forgot to mention that. So I already recorded this video. I had to fucking re-record it because I forgot to mention some shit. Yeah, but yeah. So we do take that low up. So ideally we reverse away from that. We do create the CICC. It's great to see. But again, YM is still not one to higher. I mean, look at this expansion on yes versus YM. Yeah, that is, we're just consolidating above this level. So expansion of consolidation we probably should continue to this level. It's already shown that it wants to. But Roman price created this CICSD. I trailed my stop to this low to reduce my risk by half, which was before price even reached a 1R here. And I entered with 12 micros and took 50% off. I actually trailed my stop to break even once price created the CICSD here. And then when price hit a 2R here, I took 50% off, 6 macros here at $300 profit, which is technically a 1R. And I hold the rest of the position to my main day profit at a 5R. And I would make more. I would have made more off of holding this 50%, the 50% of the position to this 5R, taking off here, right? Then I would have if I took the full position off at a 2R, because literally 50% at this level here was $800 versus the $300 risk, and then shoot for a 2R to gain $600. I literally am so tired right now. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, YM still want to head lower, right? If it eventually does reach a low, at this point it really doesn't matter because I'm not risking anything. We take it here. That's going to allow us to just expand higher. But this could have been a clean trade here, possibly. Why would this be clean? Well, it's because price on the hourly creates again string switch, second stage PSP S&B fill. Right, so if I missed this one, that could have been valid. And there's also S&T with this low here. So like right when we create that S&T, I now have string switch to confirm the sync to be V-chip away cleanly. This is going into 1 p.m. So I mean every time frame is literally aligns right now. So if the daily did align, if it was aligned, this would have been another valid entry right there. Stop it. The rejection block. That would have just shot for a 2R. Look at how simple, easy, fucking quick. Would have made $600 in 15 minutes. So that was another opportunity. But price eventually reaches the final visual liquidity. So yeah, so the only trade that was offered today, right, it was really just either I'm trading NQ as the lagging asset in continuation to break this D. There was no entry. Okay, great. So now I really don't know what we're going to do, although the bias is clearly bullish. We're wanting to be bullish. We're respecting the refined level. We're just spacing away from it. But do we have a reason to continue? And ES does, right? So the only thing I can really anticipate is ES to continue higher to reach for this high. Unless, the only way that I could actually fade that or trade away from it is if price actually, right here, right when we engage with this level, creates string switch second stage D, and I even told myself that I wouldn't even take that because it's just not clean. I would wait for displacement away and then either trade the lead NASA or lagging NASA continuation towards like currently low. But like another possible scenario that price could have done, but clearly we fell to reverse going into 11 AM. Yeah, so Yeah, I always say this is a valid, skip day because of the daily profile. So that's like the main reason why I'd enter this. Another thing that I actually want to mention too is right when 9:30 opened, right, because we didn't have an established low day, and even looking at NQ, we didn't have an established high day. This is more of an established low day. Probably hold that SMT with current day low, that new recovery gap with line. So you can see, we displace away from that. So that's more prominent than this being a current, established high day, no displacement away really. So the driver really confirms narrative, but I wanted to show metals going into the driver 9 a.m. We reach this low on gold. There's really nothing beyond that low, and the day is pretty. We expanded like crazy lower, so there's really what are we going to continue towards? There's nothing in close proximity. And then silver as well took everything out below price. We do have this low, but I mean, it really doesn't matter. Which that is SMT with this, with silver. So it looked like going into the driver, metal should be bullish, which is kind of supported this bullish move here in a way. So I like that. Anyways, I forgot to show my fucking execution. Really doesn't matter, but here, that was the trade right there. So yeah, I took off. I don't know why I did that. I did not do that. I don't know why I did that, but definitely lost some money by doing that, by price glitching and doing that. But yeah, so I entered here, took off there. Well, beautiful trade. If I actually took it, that was a 2-hour right there. Yeah. But again, not a valid trade, so really doesn't matter. But cool to see price deliver to the draw liquidity, the area that I wanted to see price draw towards. So yeah. But again, I mean, seeking continuation higher to reach for these highs is kind of dangerous. I mean, even before price going before 11 a.m. Try to do this. I mean, yeah, yes, could reach for these highs, right? But it's just like, I don't know, C5, and we've already done so much, but yeah, and we already know that the daily profile doesn't support the bullish mention. So anyways, so that's it.